Hello again, guys. We have another problem concerning the application of DE in terms of Newton's cooling law and mixed problems. The problem here states that a tank contains 1,000 gallons of brine in which 500 pounds of salt are dissolved. Fresh water runs into the tank at the rate of 10 gallons per minute and the mixture kept uniform by stirring runs out at the same rate. How long will it take before only 50 pounds of salt are left in the tank? Now, what we must do first is to identify all the given value. So, the given value in this problem is 1000 gallons of brine, which is equals to V, or the volume equals to 1000 gallons of brine, 1000 gallons. And the next thing we should write is the 500 pounds of salt that are dissolved. So Q is equals to 500 pounds of salt at time, which is equals to 0. And then fresh water runs into the tank at the rate of 10 gallons per minute. So the input rate, or the input rate, or the Rn is equals to 10 gallons per minute. Now, the output rate is the same as the input rate since the mixture was kept uniform by stirring and it runs out at the same rate as the input rate. So the output rate, or R out, is equals to 10, 10 gallons of brine per minute. The Q in is equals to 0 since the 500 pound of salt runs out at 0 time. So Q in is equals to 0. Now, to solve this, we will use this specific formula. So Q is equals to R in minus multiplied to Q in, close parenthesis, which is then multiplied by the volume over R out, plus CE raised to the power of negative R out over V times T. Now this is the formula that we're going to use in order to solve this problem. Now to substitute all the value, so Q is equals to Rn, which is 10 gallons per minute, multiplied to Qin, which is 0, which is multiplied by 1000 gallons, which is V, and the R out, which is also 10 gallons per minute. Gallons per minute, V. So after that, we will add the CE and negative R out, which is negative 10 over V, which is 100 gallons of brine multiplied by T. Okay. Now, to solve this, 10 times 0 is equivalent to 0. Now, 0 times 1000 is equals to 0. Now, 0 over 10 is also equals to 0. So this equation practically is equals to 0. So the remaining value will be Q is equals to CE raised to the power of 10 over 1000 times T. Now that we have the value of the Q, we can now solve the problem at Q is equals to 500 pounds at time which is equals to 0. And now we'll just substitute the value. So Q is equals to CE raised to negative 10 over 1000 times T. So Q here will be substituted by 500, which is equals to CE raised to negative 10 over 1000, and the time is equals to 0. So negative 10 over 1000 times 0 is basically equals to 0. So 500 equals to C times 1. So C is equals to 500. Now that we have the value of C, which is 500, we can now substitute it to our equation, which is Q is equals to C e raised to the negative 10 over 1000 T. So Q is equals to substitute the value of C, which is 500, 500 E, oh, oh, sorry, E raised to 10, raised to the power of 10 over 1000 T. Now that we have the whole equation that we need in order to solve the amount of time it will take for the salt remaining in the tank to weigh 50 pounds. So at time unknown, and, and Q is equals to 50 pounds, the weight of the salt that we want to solve. So Q is equals to 50 pounds. So we'll just substitute it towards our equation. So Q is equals to 500 E raised to negative 10 over 1000 T. Substitute the value of Q, Q, so it will become 50 equals to 500 E raised to negative 10 over 1000 T. And then we'll divide both sides by 500 in order to cancel out the 500 on the other side. So 50 over 500 equals to the remaining value, which is E raised to the power of 10 over 1000 T. Now we will multiply it to ln in order to cancel out the E. So E cancel out. The remaining value will be ln over ln 50 over 500 equal to negative 10 over 1000 T. Now, if we're going to solve for this, the remaining time will be 230.3 minutes, or in actual value it will be 3 hours and 15 minutes and 18 seconds. 18 seconds. So this will be the amount of time it will take for the salt to become 50 pounds inside the tank. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope to see you again on our next video.